So this is a quick entry, a quick recording I'm making. As you might hear my little cousin. My little cousin is barking in the background because they put him outside because he had to take a pee on the carpet, and they keep telling him you cannot pee on the carpet, little man. And so they put him outside, so he's yammering and yipping, trying to get back in the house. But one thing I wanted to say is I've been hanging out with the man a little bit more, and we were watching a little TV like in the old days when we used to watch a lot of TV together. And I noticed something. You ever notice that whenever you watch something, whether it's on Netflix or maybe you're bouncing back and forth between HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu, and you catch this or you catch a certain actor in a certain movie, and then all of a sudden you're watching another movie, a completely different program, a completely different platform. You could be on Hulu, and then you switch over to the Netflix, and you're watching, and you find the same actor. It's like a coincidence. You ever do that? You ever, so you watch 3 or 4 movies, and all of a sudden you realize it's the actor when he was young, then it's the same actor. Might be 2 of the actors in the same movies, might be a 3rd movie in a row. You're like, how do I keep, I watched 3 random movies filmed, over the course of 3 decades, and it's the same actor. And I'm over different platforms, and it's just weird the way that happens. Like Jeremy Irons, I'm watching a movie. It's a modern movie about something, and then I'm like, wow, that was a pretty good movie. And I'm watching another movie, and about halfway through, I'm like, oh my God, that's Jeremy Irons when he was young. Me and the man were watching a Jeremy Irons movie, and we realized, and that's how it happens sometimes. You're watching a movies, and you fall into this thing where somehow you pick to watch movies of the same actor. You weren't even trying to do it, but whatever. It's the same way with sexual predatory people. It seems like the sexual predatory people from the past, they come in, they pop up, kind of about the same time, because lately we had Bill O'Reilly, the sexual predatory individual, and then now Mike Tyson is in the news, sexual predatory person. I'm expecting maybe we see Anthony Weiner. Maybe next we'll see Anthony Weiner from the old days. But Mike, first it was Bill O'Reilly at the airport, and then consequently, it's the same thing with the movies. It's funny because now Mike, not only are they sexual predator combination, the sexual predator, theme, the sexual predator thread of the narration, it's also that the incidents happened on planes. And so Bill was berating some, lady. It looked like Pat from Saturday Night Live, but you're not supposed to say that. I shouldn't have said that. I ruined the whole thing. I'll get canceled. But it looked like Bill O'Reilly was trying to berate Pat from Saturday Night Live back in the old days. And then it looked like Mike Tyson was, had the rapid punch. He had the rabbit punch this guy upside his head a few times, and you can see where his ring left a bunch of abrasions on his temple and on the side of his head. But when you looked at the guy, you're like, this is some kind of a drunken Swedish guy, like a 27, 28-year-old arrogant Swedish guy, a guy from Norway or Denmark. And you're like, I don't know how Mike waited that long. I watched the clip. I'm like, my God, Mike Tyson, something's wrong with this guy. In the old days, he would have bit that guy's ear off and then raped him. He probably would have ripped the guy's ear off and then raped the man as a punishment. But this time he just gave him a rapid fire, a bunch of punches into his head. And, when I watched the video, I was like, this guy should have been punched way earlier than what he was punched. And it shouldn't have been little rabbit punches. It should have been a haymaker. He should have been smashed so he couldn't pout and make believe wasn't really hurting or wasn't really embarrassed. He should have had facial fractures in his face, and the bones in his face should have been facially fractured. That's what he deserved. And how Mike did not, But, God bless Mike, because, his days of sexual predatory are behind him. And, the days of biting off ears are behind him. And it's the days of whether it's people walking up on Mike with pistols. Mike's like, you're going to shoot me with a pistol, I'll sign an autograph. Or this guy sitting behind him in the plane barking like a little yippy dog, like my little nephew dog over here, my cousin the dog, yipping to come back in the house because he peed on the carpet. This drunken Swede yipping at Mike Tyson till Mike had to finally turn around and give him some rabbit punches. How he waited that long, And I think what it is Mike became very much nicer ever since he started microdosing acid and breeding and smoking really, really good chronic weed. He's, Mike is he wants to become a chronic weed baron, and he's doing some microdosing of the psychedelics to help him level off, and so it's working for him. Because listen, the 2 incidences with Mike, in the past was, he was very patient, he was very nice, he signed autographs, he dealt with doofuses and jerks. Poor Mike, if Mike just wouldn't have tattooed his face, no one would know it was him. You know, it'd be so much easier to hide. But when you have a big, giant, weird tattoo on your face, looks like some kind of a claw. Looks like a weird kind of psychedelic claw of one of them bugs, with the tails. A pincher out front and it's like a mole cricket or something with a pincher out front and a weird tail like a scorpio could have. It's like you have a weird tattoo on your face. It's easy to pick out. You're like, oh, Mike, you look so old. I didn't know it was you. But then I saw the weird tattoo reaching across your face. That's how I knew it was you, Mike. So now I want to give you a hard time. And why do these people want to give Mike Tyson a hard time? Gosh, you should pick someone else out to give a hard time. Because old Mike, he's still capable of, screwing up most men walking around upright. Anybody that's a professional boxer, no. But anybody else, if you're not a professional boxer or MMA guy, and you're 60 or less, Mike Tyson can probably kick your ass. So you should be careful. But, hey, probably I shouldn't have brought up the sexual predator thing. He should be able to live it down at some point. You don't want to keep it up. But it was just that thing where Bill O'Reilly and Mike Tyson, sexual predatory things in their past and having beefs on planes or in airports. I'm waiting for the thing. I know what's going to happen. Anthony Weiner, we're going to be watching TV, and Anthony Weiner is going to be in a tarmac, and he's going to be caught with his pants down, and everybody's going to be like, wow, Anthony Weiner. And then he's going to get into a beef with somebody and have a fisticuff action. So I'm waiting to see what happens with Anthony Weiner next.